Hello, everybody. My name is Johnny Case. Welcome to our virtual conference. I want to say a big thank you to Trisha and the team for inviting me to be a guest speaker. Uh, Today, I want to talk about a little bit about my story growing up in Prince Albert and where I am now, the transition from where I was to who I am. I like to start when I was 16. When I was 16 years old, I was going to St. Mary's High School. I went there for maybe 5 years. I did 4 years of grade 10 there, and yeah, that that phase from 16 to 20, I was into drugs, alcohol, into the wrong crowd. I developed, you know, I kind of developed in that lifestyle and kind of had a dependency on drugs and alcohol for a little while there. And, you know, on the fourth year of being in grade 10, I looked around and I realized, I'm sitting here with a lot of young people. And I was close to quitting that day. And I remember looking outside of St. Mary's School on 13th Street and the reputation that street has. And I was thinking, is that what's left for me at the end of the day? And something internally, there's a little internal fight saying, you know what, this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want for yourself. So, I remember turning back and going to Mr. Fanouf's office. He was a principal at the time. Not sure if he is now. And I remember advocating for myself. I want to go, I want to pursue my education. And I asked him, I'm kind of embarrassed sitting in grade 10 with all these kids, essentially. And I asked him, is there any way you could put me in grade 12? And we had this big discussion on it. And he asked me if I'm sure. And I remember feeling like, I'm not sure, but this is what I want. This is something I need in my life. I want to make my parents happy. I want to see if I could actually, do it past grade 12. So after advocating for myself for about an hour, Mr. Fanouf gave me that opportunity to push forward. And ever since that day, I've been doing that since. And, there's my diploma to prove that, I was capable at the time. And, I really thank him for that. Thank him for giving me opportunity. Opportunity is a big thing in my life. Sometimes it's there, and sometimes you have to create it. So in that case, I had to create that for myself, advocate for myself. So, going from drinking and smoking every day to pushing for my education was a big transition for me. And I learned a lot of things in that transition. I learned a lot of things about myself. I wasn't the greatest writer, reader, or any of that. So that year kind of elevated all of that. And then I remember being out of high school for a couple years, and I was thinking again, that same thought, well, what's next for me? And I was thinking about going to the Army, and my mom pulled me aside and said, you know what, keep pursuing your education. You're a smart boy. So, I looked up online, some colleges, universities, all of that stuff, signed a couple papers online, and then I get a call the following day saying, want you to come in, do some aptitude tests, see where you fit in. So that's what I did. I was living in Calgary at the time. So I remember going downtown Calgary, going in, big skyscrapers, and I was thinking, trying to have a little bit of a vision of, imagine working downtown Calgary, coming downtown every day to come work. So, I kept that vision in my head. And then I get my aptitude test back and I'm above average. And, it just hit me right there. Like, this could be my path. This could be something I get into career-wise. So they enrolled me into business administration, which I loved. I loved the aspects of business, the whole accounting to project management, all of that stuff. I loved it, right? So I did that for a year. And yeah, I got my diploma in business administration. Right after I got this, I got another opportunity to go back home and do economical development, learn the business arm of the community, how we create the money and keep it within the community, how we have businesses that complement each other and keep the money within the community. I learned lots there. I learned about networking, how it's important to connect to certain people. Did that for a year, and I had to move back home for that small town. After doing that for a year, I realized like I can't live in a small town. It's not. I kind of almost converted back into that lifestyle because that's where it usually resides, is in small towns where that isolation is, where drinking, drugging, all of that stuff. So, I kind of pulled myself away from that after a year. My contract was up, moved back to Calgary, and I was trying to figure out what am I gonna do next? What's next for me? So another opportunity opened up. People wanted young men to come out and advocate for youth, and that's what I was doing for a whole year. Before COVID hit, that's what I was doing. I made a short film on foster care and how we make up more than 50% of the system. I advocated for youth programming. I also advocated for cultural identity amongst young people, and where do we find those resources? I try to make it all into our youth facility, the Diamond Willow Youth Lodge. I sat on the board there. So, all those skills that I learned in economical development and also business administration, going to school, those all came into play and really helped me not only find opportunities, but succeed well. I was making a lot of connections. I was generating some money for myself. I love the work because I was not only helping myself, I was also helping youth that were in a similar situation that I was a few years prior. And then COVID hit, and that shut everything down. My network literally shut down, and then I had no source of income. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and I felt capable. I felt really capable at this time. I felt, okay, you know what? I went through a slump of, losing all of that, losing my support groups, not losing the resources that I had, all of that. So I kind of fell into a state of depression for a bit. And something inside me really kicked off. Okay, now what am I capable of? I could go back to school. School wasn't the strongest. I remember that, thinking back on where I came from, 16 years old to 20 years old, still in grade 10. And now I'm here right when COVID hit, and I'm thinking, okay, very well capable of going back to school. So that's what I did. I went for something that I felt had a lot of longevity, something that, I was capable of doing. So I went to Tradewinds here downtown Calgary again, and I got my certificate, pre-apprentice ironwork program. So these programs that they have here are very, very valuable that I see for youth, people who, want to pursue a future. And yeah, I tapped into that network, and then they helped me out so much. They helped me out to get my gear. They helped me out to pay off my bills that I had piling up. You know, they helped a lot in a time of struggle. And now I come out of that program. I got a good job. I have good benefits. I'm getting paid good. You know, I took that educational route, and you know, it set me up pretty good. So if that's the message that I could send to the youth, is yeah, get educated, go out there, get yourself into something you love. There's a lot of routes you could take. None of it's maybe perfect, but you'll never know until you try. And yeah, now I'm an iron worker at AGF Rebar, you know, one of the bigger companies, and they treat me very well. I love that. And it's security for me, stability. So I'm gonna keep pursuing that. Hopefully get my red seal in ironworking in the next 4 years. You know, maybe get my own business going. So yeah, that's my story. And just to refresh, like I live that lifestyle of living in Prince Albert, not knowing what to do, skipping school, drinking, drugging, hanging around the wrong crowd, to where I am now. You know, I'm very blessed, I'm very grateful. I have my culture, Métis Jigger. I do Cree sweat lodges. You know, I stay in tune with the network that I helped build here in Calgary. So yeah, don't stop your own goals. Don't stop yourself from growing, essentially. And yeah, that's my story. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning into our virtual event. Thank you again, Trisha, so much for inviting me. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the event. And hi.